On today's episode of Wrong Side, a Joey solo episode. I'll take you guys through the latest and greatest in college basketball, NBA, NHL Four Nations recap, and what's going on there lately, as well as getting off the reservation a little bit. Elon Musk, the Pope dying, Timothy Chalamet, and much more. Going to be a fun one. We're going to get a little weird. And as always, in a world full of champions, we find ourselves on the wrong side. Welcome back, listeners. Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, February 26th, and you're stuck with me today. Michael still caught up at work, peak busy season wrapping up here shortly, and Jake knee-deep in midterm. So best of luck to both of them, and a new format for us. We've been piecing it together here and there with the three of us and the Sharber boys, but now just me. So I'll have a shorter episode for you guys today, but the beauty of this is being by myself. No one to challenge my take, so I am the king of the castle today. Got a great show lined up for you guys. I'll take you through what I've been up to, as I know I've been out a little bit here and there. College basketball is heating up with conference tournament set to start. I believe it's next weekend, the first weekend or second weekend in March, and then March Madness right around the corner. So without further ado, my favorite thing to talk about. So as Michael and Jake said, last week I was in New Orleans with Maddie. It was my first time there, and it was a great experience. Tone deaf travel both ways. So as everyone knows, O'Hare is a nightmare to get through. So we had a late flight on Friday, got on the plane, and then sat there for 2 full hours on the plane at the gate waiting to de-ice before we were able to take off. Didn't get to our hotel till about 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. And at that point in the night, even Bourbon Street is shut down. So a lost Friday night that we didn't have high expectations for, but the trip there was great. Full day Saturday, Sunday, and then more of a debacle Monday when we flew back. But food tours, we did a ghost haunted pub crawl. That was my pick, and sadly we did not see any ghosts, but a very fun time nonetheless. Bourbon Street is something like I've never seen before. Sadly, the tour guides did say Bourbon Street in New Orleans has been a little quieter since those terrorist attacks back during the college football playoffs about a couple months ago. So sad there, and I know Mardi Gras is right around the corner, so I know the locals there are looking forward to the tourist scene picking back up. But great food. Bourbon Street is another level. The ability to just go in, pop out, and the whole city is a bar. The whole street is a bar. And it was amazing. A very fun time with Maddie. The slushy drinks are brutal. The Hurricane, the hand grenade, they may not taste like they're very strong, but you chug a few of those down quickly, and funny colors end up happening. That's all I'll say on that one. Spirit Airlines, tone deaf moment of the week. On the way back, we were supposed to fly out at 9 a.m. on Monday, get back around noon, have the full day off. It was President's Day. Instead, we sat in the New Orleans airport from 7 a.m. until 2:30. We had to rebook on United for more money. It was a whole debacle. But ended up making it home, and it was a good trip overall. Early flight out of New Orleans. It was supposed to be 9 a.m. so we could have that full day. Never again an early flight from New Orleans. We knew we had it. We did our best to get to bed early and take care of ourselves and take it easy the night before. But New Orleans fights back. So that was a rough morning, but we ended up all being okay. Trips are always fun. And adulting is really kind of the name of the game right now. So I know obviously Sharber is knee deep in work. Meg's residency assignment is right around the corner. So we'll be keeping an eye on them for that. Jake in college, just jealous of that kid every single day, living it up in school. Never graduate. For those of you in college that are listening right now, never graduate. Get another degree, get a third degree, go to law school, go to medical school. Adulting, it comes at you quick. And I say that it sounds like impending doom, but I got a lot of cool stuff going on. So over last weekend, Maddie and I started going engagement ring shopping. No real research done before that, but a very exciting and very fun time. We went to Jewelers Row down in the Loop in Chicago, which if you want to be close to the money, that's where you want to work. That's where you want to be. We had a great salesperson that kind of walked us through the whole process. She was actually a barista at Starbucks across the street, knew who the owner of this diamond store was, and had his order ready every single morning. He said, "I like you. You understand customer service. Let's get you in here." So cool little story there. And diamond shopping is fun. We did engagement ring stuff. You got to get the shape, the setting, all the stuff that I had no idea when we walked in the door. And then I asked if they had any Cuban links. So I was able to look at some stuff for me as well. But a very fun experience. I know Maddie had a great time and definitely gave me some good insight as we're kind of looking that way in 2025. So that'll be some fun stuff to continue. And then apartment shopping, a couple apartment tours here and there over the last few weeks. About to say goodbye to the city. Didn't expect to be here. I know. Since we started this podcast, we kind of went through that when I was moving out and kind of that conversation. When is the right time to move out? Originally, I didn't think I was going to live in the city. I was going to save money for a couple more years, eventually move in with Maddie was the original plan. But I'm very happy I did. All the opportunity, the fun, the concerts, the sporting events, just walkable from Wrigley right now. I am going to miss it, but I am also looking forward to the peace of the suburbs, looking at moving nearby to another one of our couple friends. Out in kind of the Arlington Heights area nearby where we grew up. But apartment shopping with a significant other is no joke. It's different than doing it with just one of my friends. Kyle and I, my roommate now, we've been friends since kindergarten. We knew we wanted to be near the bars and near Wrigley Field. We both work from home most of the time and our offices are in the city. So after that, nothing else mattered. So this location is great. This apartment's been very good to us. But coming up soon, moving too. So adulting is crazy. Enough about me. There are still sports on. Football is done. Obviously been about a month now, but college basketball is the name of the game right now. There's a lot going on. I think this is one of the more unique years than we've seen in recent history. A lot of the Blue Bloods are not doing what we expect them to do. Kansas and North Carolina, both Blue Bloods, both out of the rankings right now. UNC won't even make the NCAA tournament. That's happened a couple other times in recent memory as well, but you can't exactly be excited about where that program is heading. Kansas likely will still make the tournament. Hunter Dickinson, please get on LinkedIn as soon as possible. I am tired of seeing your face on CBS, and I hope they have a rough tournament. But in that regard, Auburn, number one team in the country, holding strong. Couple good games over the last few weeks, but hasn't necessarily been playing in a tough SEC. So they're an older team. Janai Broome, forward for them, is a contender for player of the year. Other than that, I don't know too much about them. Auburn is not a team that a school that I look at and I immediately think basketball. Older usually means you're good. Older usually plays well in the NCAA tournament. The Kentuckys, the teams full of freshmen are usually the ones who the lights get a little too bright and they may not be ready for it, but we'll see what Auburn's able to do. Duke, I think they're sitting at the number 3 team in the country. Them in Florida have been kind of going back and forth. Duke played Illinois at Madison Square Garden a couple weeks ago and held them to 0 for 16 from 3 in the first half. In Illinois, I believe they're in the hundreds in 3-point percentage and 5th in 3-point attempts. So not that they are a team that knocks them down night in and night out, but Duke, with all the length they have on the floor, they're a fantastic defensive team and have the future number 1 pick in Cooper Flagg, who can definitely score the basketball. So they're a great team. Cooper Flagg is a freshman, as Duke is often chock full of them. But I have a lot of faith in Duke heading into the tournament. A story that I really do want to pay attention to is Mizzou. They, last year, lost every single SEC game that they played. They are currently 14th in the country and doing some really good stuff. They took it to Bama back a couple weeks ago and are hot at the right time. So the SEC has been a gauntlet. Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, Auburn, Mizzou. They definitely, far and away, will have the most teams in the tournament, as well as having the most teams in the top 25 right now. The Big Ten, another conference we really do like to think about basketball with, Purdue, Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois, kind of tanking a little bit this year. A few teams in the top 25. We'll see if others can sneak into the tournament. But Purdue, who has been our basketball team really in the Big Ten for a long time, they're on a four-game loss streak right now. So cold at the right time, but obviously conference tournaments, a lot of basketball in a short amount of time and a good opportunity to get hot before the tournament starts. So Purdue, 4 losses in a row, including one to Indiana, who has already fired their coach, or their coach said he's not coming back mid-season. We'll see if they can stop the bleeding and get together before the tournament. Like I said, Illinois went 0 for 16 against Duke back a couple weeks ago. between injuries, illness, and really things just going sideways for them. If you didn't see, they retired Terrence Shannon Jr.'s jersey a couple weeks ago, and they unveiled it, and it was upside down. If you remember, there's a lot of history and controversy around Terrence Shannon Jr. He underwent a trial for an assault case back a couple years ago when he was in school, and he was acquitted of all charges. It honestly ended up seeming like a farce through it all, that the allegations were just made up, but still obviously a very contentious point, and seemingly somebody wanted to make a statement there. So Illinois, injured, ill, and cannot wait for their own season to end. They were ranked 2 or 3 weeks ago, and at this point, I don't even think they're going to make the tournament. So Illinois has been a team through Ayo Dosunmu and Kofi Cockburn, has had some great players come through over the last couple of years, and we've come to know them pretty much right up there with Purdue as a team that's going to make the tournament practically every year. Doesn't look like we'll be seeing them this year, but another Big Ten team who we had known to be a perennial tournament team who's back this year is Wisconsin. Wisconsin has turned it up in the second half of the year, blew a big lead to Oregon at home, so that is a Big Ten matchup now, people forget, but we still trust them. It's a good opportunity to have a loss. John Fanto was on Pardon My Take. He is the face of college basketball and said, we still got to trust Wisconsin. One unraveling at home is honestly a good opportunity for the team to go back in the lab, get pissed off as they're heading into conference tournaments as well as March Madness, and get back there. So Wisconsin, I believe, is number 11 in the latest rankings and is trending upwards for sure. Michigan State, Tom Izzo has been there about 30 years now. They're making a push as one of the lowest three-point shooting teams in the country. They're up in the top 10 and have been winning a ton of games. Year 30 for Tom Izzo. You hear about LeBron, year 22, obviously playing and coaching is quite different, but a college basketball coach sticking around for 30 years is very impressive. Michigan State's had some obviously great years and some accolades for sure, as well as some down years. So the ability to kind of hold on to him, I don't think anyone has ever questioned his job security or if he's a good coach. But Tom Izzo in year 30 has not necessarily adjusted to the fast-paced three-point shooting game that we see the Alabamas and the Kentuckys of the world going, but still a top 10 team and still definitely dangerous come March. Another team like that, St. John's, led by Rick Pitino. They beat UConn in Madison Square Garden. They've sold out Madison Square Garden a few times this year now. As a team, St. John's is shooting 29% from three, but the way this team is built, similar to a few Rick Pitino Louisville teams, people are ready to put them in the Final Four. I won't even go as far to say that they're a dark horse or a slept-on team, because pretty much everyone that I've talked to has them right there. And how many times can you call a team a dark horse before they're a favorite? So St. John's right up there in the top 10 as well, and definitely a team I will be wagering on to go far in the tournament. And Rick Pitino, there was a quote and a video of his that came out from the locker room. He's got a documentary being filmed, and there's some clips coming out from it. And he told the team, adversity is what life's about. Where is your toughness? I don't care if you miss. It's about what you do next. Get back on defense. So Rick Pitino, I think he mid-70s, I believe. He's a 70-plus-year-old, has the boys ready to go at St. John's. As far as the rest of the Big Ten goes, I'm recording this on Tuesday. Last night, Nebraska falls to Michigan 49-46. I did not watch the second half of that game. I believe it was 25-21 at half. What an ugly game. A real Big Ten game. If you translate that to football score, that's probably 10-3. A real Iowa, Nebraska, Michigan type football game. Michigan is still a very turnover-ridden team. I am never going to give them any props and say that they're going to win or do anything, but they're a turnover-ridden team that's gotten them in trouble late in a number of games, but they've always been able to kind of pull it out. Against the Big Ten, maybe that'll work. We'll see where they end up in the tournament. But they are a matchup problem in the paint. They have a group of talented bigs, a few that they're able to rotate in there. And when March Madness a lot of times really comes down to free throw shooting and foul trouble, we'll see if those big men are able to put the ball in the basket. So Michigan is a team that unexpected to be here at this point in the year, but definitely a team to keep an eye on. As far as bracket predictions, we're not there quite yet. There are way too many teams to keep track of since I started paying attention to this sport about a month ago, but a couple tidbits that I did pick up. Good teams like a Duke, UConn's not good this year anymore, but a Duke, a Missouri, an Alabama, a good team who you know is going to be in the tournament, but does not win their conference championship tournament. And the way conference championship tournament works is some of them go all the way through the weekends into Saturday and Sunday, and then March Madness kicks off on that Thursday. So for the teams that have to play a full weekend plus of basketball right beforehand, it's easy to get tired a little bit. You're kind of playing regionally, obviously in your conference, not as much anymore for the Big Ten, but for the most part, the tournament's in one spot. So you're able to kind of settle in over those few days you're there. And then you're flying all over the place once the tournament begins. So teams who are good, who do not win their conference championship tournament, get a couple extra days of rest, get back to campus, and then get ready, having that little extra motivation from losing their conference championship tournament, and then get ready to go dancing. So that's my little bracket tidbit before we actually get the full bracket released in the next couple weeks. And my actual dark horse team, this is a top 25 team, so not particularly dark horse, Mississippi State. Where did I first find Mississippi State? They played Alabama back probably a month ago at this point. And Josh Hubbard, their guard, looks like he's built for March, and he is who I am putting all my eggs into this basket for the time being. He's an 18-point per game scorer in the SEC, the best conference in basketball at the moment. 3.3 assists per game, 40% shooter overall, about 36% from three, which is not bad by college standards, and an 87.3% free throw shooter. He's small, he's springy. He reminds me of that. I think it was Kansas State guard back a few years ago, kind of took the tournament by storm. And he has the ability to take over. Like I said, they played Alabama back about a month ago, and they play him again tonight. Josh Hubbard, 18-point per game scorer, went for 40. So has an eye for the big moment, and I'm hoping they are ready to go come March. They're not a great three-point shooting team overall, but as I just talked about with Michigan State and St. John's, you don't need necessarily a great three-point shot to succeed at the college level. So Mississippi State is one team that I'm trying to keep an eye on. Other than that, Four Nations wrap up. I know the boys talked about it a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but first of all, props to the NHL. The fact that that tournament lined up so well with NBA All-Star Weekend is just a perfect representation of kind of all the bad things going on in the major sports right now and where it could be. The NBA was a streamer fest. Kevin Hart had more airtime than the actual game. We went through all that over the last couple of weeks, but the passion and the ability to care seems like something that's coming back. My clutch moment of the week is passion. Timothy Chalamet, the Four Nations, hockey players, all that stuff. Trying is cool. The NBA All-Star Game, nobody wants to try. It is not cool. So just shout out to the NHL for getting the players to buy in and therefore getting the fans to buy in. So a few stats, a few takes from the championship game where Canada defeated the USA in overtime. I didn't think the USA played particularly well. Obviously, it's hard to match up with the 3 fights in 9 seconds and really taking it to them that we saw a week prior when they were in Canada. But as far as possession time goes in the offensive zone, through regulation, Canada had 5.5 minutes. USA had 3:21. 2-minute gap, pretty significant in hockey time, I'd say. Just the style the USA played was a lot of dump and chase, a lot of trying to create possessions through transition, less so than Canada, who possessed the puck. They swung it around the net. They were able to create more scheduled opportunities, I guess I'll call it, versus trying to get a fast break. And I think that's how Brady Tkachuk scored for the USA. So I thought possession was kind of a problem for the USA, as well as kind of their lack of physicality over the few weeks. It was Mark Titus, fellow Buckeye, called Canada a finesse bitch team. They got Sidney Crosby, they got McDavid. They're a team of scorers as well. The USA is uber talented as well. But what we saw from the USA's team composition, as well as what we've seen from the last few Stanley Cup winners, is a level of physicality. Like I said, 3 fights, 9 seconds, hard to get more physical than that. But feel like we kind of tried to play into their hand a little bit. Again, I understand it's an all-star game. It's not Miracle repeated, even though the promos were sick. Matthew Tkachuk didn't even play the majority of the game. So maybe these United States players were kind of ready to get back to regular season, regularly scheduled programming. Not questioning their passion, but you're still able to play a game of finesse versus playing a game of physicality. You're kind of taking some hits too. So no harm, no foul there. It was a great game. The Canada goalie, Binnington, he was catching it all week. Everyone said he can't do it. He's Swiss cheese in there. It's going to be easy work for the talented United States team. And he was lights out, especially late in the game, late in the third period and into overtime. He was really the winner of the game for Canada. As far as hockey moving forward, not sure if our listeners are really up to speed on the playoff race. It lines up real well with the NBA playoffs. And these days, my Instagram Reels feed is filled with more hockey fights than it is NBA highlights, which I'm very happy about. And some of the top teams that we're seeing in the NHL right now, they even match up later today. And I'm looking at the NHL day to day even more than the NBA at this point, which isn't necessarily saying much, but night in and night out, the NHL is a much better product to watch than the NBA at this point. So top teams based on record and points at the moment across the whole league, just a handful. Toronto Maple Leafs led by Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews is the first American-born player to be the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Panthers are up there as well with Matthew Tkachuk. Capitals with Alex Ovechkin closing in on Wayne Gretzky's record. Winnipeg Jets, Dallas Stars, Vegas Golden Knights, and the Edmonton Oilers with McDavid, all top teams to watch there. So hockey definitely creeping its way back into my life a little bit more, which I'm very happy about. The playoffs will line up into May and June, similar to the NBA playoffs. So hopefully we'll keep an eye on that and keep an eye on the hockey moving forward at Wrong Side. But that's really all the sports on right now. There was some good NBA games. The Thunder played the Timberwolves yesterday. Anthony Edwards didn't have a particularly great game. Naz Reid actually took the most shots on the team, reigning sixth man of the year, who's going to test out free agency this summer. 132 to 136 overtime game, something along those lines. Thunder were up big, ended up blowing it. A tough end of the game for SGA, but night in and night out, the NBA is still what it is. But that's really, really sports at the moment, how things are going over here. Again, shout out Michael and Jake. They're holding it down in their own lives with work, school, as well as the three of us really holding the podcast down. So we appreciate you guys for sticking around with us and listening. A weird time for the sports calendar with only really college basketball, NBA, and hockey on. We're looking forward to March Madness to have some high stakes on the line and get into more like that. So now a few other highlights from not necessarily our outside the line segment, but a few other highlights going on in the world right now. The Pope is dying. Double pneumonia for Pope Francis, one of the more liberal, woke popes of our generation. I'm not using woke as a bad term at the moment, but he's loosened up the kind of old stuffy Catholic Church. I was raised Catholic, so he was kind of a welcome change into modern times that I think a lot of people were a fan of. But the memes around this guy are very funny. You get the classic, the outfit pics. He got that shit on, and he always do. The Pope got that shit on, as well as just the coverage of his illness. Obviously, double pneumonia is nothing to play around with, but when the headline is "Night passed peacefully," you're saying he passed peacefully in the night. So the memes around that are funny, but we pray for his good health. And I'm also not above saying that this has something to do with Michigan's success in basketball. The Pope is dying, and Michigan is having an outstanding year in basketball that no one suspected. We'll see. Windhorse fingers. We'll see. Grip strengthener. Pope Francis is dying. We'll be praying for him. People freaking out over Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency. At this point, those are also just Twitter memes to me. Obviously, there are other people in other lines of work being affected by this much more than I am. But the latest and greatest over the last week or so is Elon Musk himself emailed every single government employee and asked for 5 bullet points on what they got done this week. And in concept, it just sounds so odd. I don't know what Elon's official appointment or title is. I know he is running the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, with Vivek, but he's not a politician. He hasn't done this before, and he's overall just a weird, crazy guy. So giving him free access to everybody's government email and letting him email them whenever he wants is questionable in and of itself. But at the same time, if you can't come up with 5 easy bullet points about what you did that week, that email should go out to corporate America in general. Overall, the way I see it, at least, as a society, there are so many jobs that are almost over-engineered, and there are obviously things that are very, very, very important, and it's great that people are able to have some of these jobs, but if you can't justify with 5 quick bullet points on something you did over a week, that's a weird job to have. The way I see it is it's similar to having a subscription service that you forget to cancel for some of these things, especially in government. Things happen slowly. Things are out of date, out of touch. So you have these departments across state and local, all the way up to federal government that was useful for a time or was put there for a reason at the time. That time has since expired, and you still got people in those jobs. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to be looking into that, especially with the country at about a $36 trillion debt. But at the same time, the fact that it's been so aggressively pushed, as a lot of things are in this day and age, is obviously a problem as well. So everyone's freaking out. Everyone's tone deaf. Twitter is tone deaf as usual, but a fun little headline there as well. And then other than that, Illinois high school basketball playoffs are starting. There was a great Lions Township half-court buzzer beater that I saw on Barstool. So Lake Zurich, my alma mater, is making a little bit of a run themselves. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But like I said, not a lot of huge sports news coming out at the moment. So I'll be looking at high school basketball as well. That's the update for the time being. The Joey Show is quite fun, but now we'll kick it to our ad read and the clutch moment of the week. Our clutch moment of the week is brought to you by Shore Metals, big enough to serve you and small enough to know you. Serving Southern California since 1970. See Stan, he'll help you out. Our clutch moment of the week, this week, goes out to passion and grit. In a day and age when passion and trying too hard is something that has become very not cool, our champion, our boy, Timothée Chalamet, is there to stand up for us. He came away from the SAG Actors Awards with the prize for lead performance by a male actor for his role as Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown. And he walked up there and said, "This is good stuff, but I'm trying to be one of the greats." He admires great actors as he does great athletes. He named Michael Phelps and Michael Jordan as names in a day and age where, especially in a setting like award shows for actors, singers, stuff like that, a lot of the times you hear a pretty kind of cookie cutter speech, like thank God, thank my family, thank X, Y, and Z, or even some jokes. I think Kieran Culkin kind of took the joke approach and downplays it a little bit, which is funny, but at the same time, there is something about seeing someone who truly cares about what they do and is truly trying to create something and chase greatness, like Timothée Chalamet has showed over the last few years with his roles in Dune, A Complete Unknown, and just the way his energy has kind of taken the world by storm. He's a college football fan. He's a regular guy as well as a teenage heartthrob dating Kylie Jenner. So Timothée Chalamet is doing it all, and I think that speech was a really good way to kind of show that level of passion that should be returning. Rick Pitino, like I said, he's over 70 years old, coach of St. John's. That clip, I would highly recommend anyone go watch it. I think it was one of the best coaching clips I've seen in a really long time. He said, "We don't care what's going on. I don't care if you're missing shots. If you're open, you better shoot that basketball. If you hear me telling you to shoot it, you better shoot that basketball. What do you think? Like, there's never going to be adversity in life. You're never going to miss in life. Like, where is your toughness? I can't believe you guys." Was really getting on him, Rick Pitino was. And that level of passion, a lot of times coaches are kind of pushed to shy away from that in this day and age. A lot of people have gotten soft. I'll be the first to admit it. But to see him with that old school mentality, having a lot of success, to hear Timothée Chalamet talk about being one of the greats is inspiring. And I think it's something that everyone should be doing a little more of. I'll kind of take this into my tone deaf person of the week a little bit as we kind of kick it straight into outside the line. Tone deaf, there was a tweet that luckily everyone was kind of fading and making fun of them, but here's the tweet. It was from just a random account. It was from a female. Had a straight dude come to my place, and he was so impressed by the simplest things. Art on the wall, rugs, a $40 knife block set. Dudes are so fucking lame and pathetic. LOL, they for real need a mommy to take care of them their whole lives. And everyone was like, wow, you invited someone over and they were polite about your house. Like, that is so mean-spirited. That's just so awful. To go online and kind of just air that out is an ignorant, tone-deaf, just horrible take. So to go from that back to the comparing to Timothée Chalamet and the Pitino video, I think it is a great representation of where we're at as a society right now. The internet is a mean and nasty and ugly place, and too often you have people like that who are looking for every opportunity to make other people feel small so they could feel big for just a couple minutes. Meanwhile, the true passion and the true joy of, honestly, humanity should be chasing greatness and creating something special, standing out for something you believe in. Timothée Chalamet is doing this. Rick Pitino is doing this. A lot of great athletes are doing this still, but you get a little kind of different representation, and Timothy Chalamet doing it compared to what we see a lot of other actors, musicians, people like that, how they kind of handle those award shows and award speeches was a very welcome change. So clutch moment of the week, Timothy Chalamet, and Tone Deaf Twitter as always, but sticking with it, a couple more. I'll have a couple for each of our outside the line segments because I'm the king of the castle. LeBron James is next on my Tone Deaf person of the week. When Michael is not here, I get to actually say my LeBron takes without being challenged, which is always very nice. This is back and a little dated as well, but All-Star game antics, Luka antics. LeBron is on my shit list right now. The fact that he took himself out of the All-Star game 2 hours before the game started, I understand you're in year 22. You want to keep that All-Star streak going on. I guarantee you if he said the week before that he's not going to be able to play, he'd still be there. He'd be able to take the picture as well. Someone else would have filled in as an alternate, but LeBron James would still get his All-Star nod. So taking himself 2 hours before definitely hurts the product and takes away from the game. There's some theories going on that LeBron is looking to retire from the NBA and start his own kind of copycat league. It would be men and women's, only a handful of teams, obviously, traveling worldwide. Obviously, basketball is an extremely global game, but LeBron going away to rival the NBA, I think would be an uphill battle. So I'm not sure how bought into the take I am there. But the fact that he can't even be bothered to walk out there for warm-ups or even put the dang jersey on for the team picture is disappointing. He's obviously the face of the NBA still, and the fact that he still finds a way to make it about him but not make it about him is always very annoying to me. So LeBron James, Tone Deaf Person of the Week. And finally, the Tone Deaf Person of the Week, the Dodgers. I don't know how the cap works because baseball doesn't even have a salary cap, but it came out today. The Dodgers owe more than $1 billion in deferred money through 2046. So by that point, I'll be about 45 years old. If they could defer any of that money to my future children's college funds, that would be great. They're playing Moneyball in a whole different way these days. I don't know how much these players could be making at this very moment. If the deferred money is $1 billion, obviously it's all guaranteed, but that shit's crazy. $1 billion is fake. I don't know if they're passing this off to the future ownership regime. Seems like with just coming off of a World Series championship, they're in no shortage of cash. So just a crazy number to think about, and throwing it to Tone Deaf that the salary cap is just absurd. Moving in to right side, wrong side to wrap us up. Recording this on Tuesday, like I said, rare 55 plus degree day in Chicago right now in February. My birthday is April 11th. I've seen it snow on my birthday before. We're calling this the spring of deception right now. There's always a couple weeks, a couple days in January, even into February and March that get up to 50, 60 degrees, t-shirt, shorts, life is good. But it could be -0 and snowing next week. So we don't trust it fully quite yet, but Chicago weather is back for the time being. Derek's at the driving range right now. I'm looking to get outside here soon, and the rest of the week's supposed to be looking good. So for those of us in Chicago, weather is looking up. Hopefully this stays there. For those of us listening from Southern California, screw you. You guys get good weather all the time. You don't know what a warm day in February is like to a Midwesterner. So weather is looking up. Right side from Michael, Lakers might be good. I said LeBron James is tone deaf, and I still think he is, but him and Luka are starting to figure it out. Luka had a couple rough games. They're playing the Mavericks. It's coming up soon if it hasn't happened already. His return, the Mavericks are playing in LA, but first game the Mavs have to play versus Luka is coming up soon. And Luka's starting to get into form. He does already look skinnier than he did when he arrived in LA. I'm not sure how they are on the court together. And I was getting flack from the boys this weekend when I kept saying that they're going to stagger them. That's what they did with Kyrie and Luka, and they are. Luka's a fat man. He's not going to play the whole game. I'm kidding. Luka's my favorite player in the league. But when LeBron and Luka are still on the court, and what I've watched of Laker basketball over the last couple of weeks, LeBron is obviously still the primary ball handler. He is obviously, you're not going to take the ball out of LeBron James's hands, but you almost in a exact similar conversation should not be taking the ball out of Luka's hands. He's the best when the ball is in his hands. He is as good of a passer as LeBron. That's going to be a crazy take, but he still has that crazy passing ability, similar to LeBron, and obviously his stature. Luka's able to get to the rim, hit those crazy step-back threes. So I haven't loved when they've been on the court together. They've been very good record wise and efficiency wise and net rating wise since Luka has gotten there. But when it comes down to it, you're going to put your best five players on the floor. And Luka and LeBron need to be on the floor together and need to learn how to play together. Again, the trade deadline just recently came and went. So this is still a very new relationship. We're still a few months away from the playoffs, so we'll see how it develops. But Michael's saying Lakers might be back. And JJ Redick had a crazy game plan for the Nuggets where they had practically the whole team screening Jokic. And I saw a similar clip to a team playing Wilt Chamberlain that way. So nothing but a nod of respect to Nikola Jokic. But Lakers might be back. And my last right side, Pete Crow Armstrong, center fielder for the Chicago Cubs, wore number 52 last year, was one of the fastest, if not the fastest player on the bases last year. Changes the number to number 4. Jed Hoyer, the GM, comes down one day when PCA and Dansby Swanson are shooting hoops and said, we need to get you out of that 52 number. That's a lineman's number. You need to be a fast guy number. And Jed Hoyer, I don't know exactly how the wager went down, but Jed Hoyer said, I'll take one shot. If I make it, you're changing to number 4. Jed Hoyer, clutch moment, makes it. PCA is wearing number 4. My only comment on that, Crow Armstrong, you've seen the baseball jerseys that have the real rainbow look with a last name like that. I don't know how a single digit looks with a name like that. Maybe a 10, an 11, still a fast guy number would have been better, but number 4 is still a welcome change. It's feeling different in Chicago for the Cubs this year. Again, I'll be away from Wrigley Field, but I'll still be here for opening day. So some Cubs content coming soon once baseball gets started and spring training is already well underway. Finally, right side, a tweet saying that so a lot of the times, for those of you who do not know, the way stadiums are built for professional teams, these billionaires own the team. You'd think they just lease the land and get the crew out there, right? No, they push for the taxpayer to pay for these new stadiums. And a lot of the Bears are having trouble with it at the moment for their Arlington Park facility. But there was a tweet that was saying that the only way for that to be approved, for taxpayer dollars to approve to building a stadium, is if the team has a winning record. And someone pulled the numbers, and I think it was maybe cumulative over the last 3 seasons. And whoever pulled the numbers said there was only 2 Chicago teams that would qualify as winning records in that time. And both were minor league teams. I can't even name off the top of my head what those teams would be, but I think it would be a good opportunity to really leverage the Jerry Reinsdorfs of the world who don't care about having a winning record. That if you want to continue building your empire and raking in cash because us sheep fans will still pay for it day in and day out, you gotta start winning some games. So I think that would be a very, very welcome change and a benefit to the fan overall, as well as the taxpayer, of course. Finally, as I'm pulling up this tweet, release schedules. TV is back at the moment, really deep into Severance right now. I know Michael is and has been watching for a few years as well. Severance, Invincible is great. Andor, the Star Wars show, they're getting my right side moment of the week. We've seen the release schedule with obviously the rise of streaming and all that stuff. It changes a lot. Some shows, they release their whole season at once. I like binging. I cannot wait week to week for only 45 minutes, an hour of a show. I prefer watching a lot at once. So I was so great to catch up on the first season of Succession over the last couple weeks to watch a few at a time. And then you see people release weekly. Sometimes they release a couple at first and then it's weekly, but it's very easy to catch up when they do that. Andor, season 2, a Star Wars show. I've not watched season 1, but from the characters I saw in there, it's a lot more kind of well-known characters versus some of the more other spin-off shows. I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, so maybe we'll check it out, but they are releasing 3 episodes a week. So with the average TV show being 30 minutes to an hour these days, you're essentially getting a movie every week. It's over 4 weeks, so there's going to be 12 episodes in season 2. And I think that's the peak release schedule, especially they're still in episodic format, so it's still 3 episodes. It's not one major episode going on. So if you want to watch one episode and save it for the next couple of days, do it. If you want to sit down and binge essentially a movie length worth of content, do it. So I think that is very right side as a new TV release schedule. Wrapping it up with our wrong side, college baseball, not keeping an eye on that, but our Sharper boys sure are. Bama baseball played Ohio State, and Ohio State was up 10-0. Pretty big score in terms of baseball. And Bama ended up coming back and winning. So that was very wrong side of the Buckeyes. And then the 2 other wrong sides, Diddy's lawyer quits. P. Diddy, Who knows where that is headed right now? The latest I've seen on that is either potentially necrophilia, but obviously Twitter is a hellscape. I don't know what I'm talking about. Um, Diddy's lawyer, who defended the bin Laden family, not Osama, obviously, but the family in future cases, said that they could not handle the P. Diddy case. So Diddy's lawyer quits. Who knows if we're going to get information about that, but very wrong side for P. Diddy that his lawyer and seemingly everyone else is abandoning him right now. Very curious to see if and when that trial becomes public and all that other information. The Epstein list, I saw that the FBI was working to destroy documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. So a lot of that stuff kind of going on. And Luigi Mangione, who killed the CEO back a few weeks ago, his trial just started, and there's a crowd of girls outside waiting for him. So wrong side, tone deaf, wherever you want to figure that out. All of our high profile court cases are going on right now. And finally, my final wrong side, video games, Marvel Rivals in particular. I grew up playing a lot of video games, playing Call of Duty, Madden, NCAA now, Rocket League, all that stuff. I like video games. I like caring about video games. I played the Spider-Man games, the Batman Arkham games, across the board. And it's nice having something chill to do in your nights, especially December, January, February in Chicago when it's dark at 4 p.m. and negative 10 degrees outside. You kind of got to find a different way to escape. Marvel Rivals. It's an intense game. I care about it way too much. That's my wrong side. I'm trying to get my friends into it. It's skill-based, ranking, very much level-based game. And now I've been grinding too far. Can't even play with some of my friends. I'm telling them, what are you doing? Why aren't you grinding? I have the Timothy Chalamet mentality. I want to do something great. And, it's put a stress on the friendships. It's put a stress on myself. I don't sleep. I don't sleep well at night anymore because of Marvel Rivals, but I care about it a lot. It's great to care about something, but at the same time, it's very wrong side that I care about a stupid, cheesy, childish video game this much. I fully admit that it's dumb, but I love it all the same. So that's it. That's what we got for now. A lot of sports going on, and as well as prepping for March Madness and stuff like that, as well as adulting. Again, Michael's taking tests, doing work, residency right around the corner. Jake, never graduate. No one ever graduate. College is the best, and I miss it every day. But we're holding it down over here. Thank you guys for listening. Be sure to keep subscribing to the YouTube, following the pod, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We're flying all over the place, and I appreciate you all so much. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Stay blessed.